Contact with Master Crow. Wait. That woman! The Vestal of Wind!
Yes, and my prisoner besides. Now, if you'll open the gate, I'll bring her to the captain.
But what of Crow?
I'm afraid he fell before the wicked Vestal's cruel magic. But it was his sacrifice that allowed for her capture.
I see. Well, I am glad Milady is safe. I should expect no less from the Grand Marshal's daughter. I'll have the gate open straight away. Just a moment.
Now, no need to glare. There, see?
We need to find the king.
Hey! It's the traitor! Grab her!
News travels fast.
Some brilliant plan. What do we do now?
We beat them down.
Seems we weathered the immediate storm.
Yes, well, yes. Right in the middle. You can't think this was my intention. I swear by my honor, this isn't right.
'Tis?
Come to save us the trouble of finding you, Vestal? How very courteous. And just what are you doing here, Adia?
I'll go along with the Sky Knight's methods no longer.
You've no say in the matter. Defying orders is treason, girl!
Enough! You have us! Let the king go!
First, the Vestal comes to me. Alone!
You mustn't! I'll not keep my head at the cost of an innocent girl's.
You'll not keep your head at all if you keep running your mouth. Are you so eager to join the captain of your guard?
Heinkel, you were among the highest regarded warriors in the duchy. A paragon of chivalry. And the Sky Knights beneath you? I grew up on the tales of their brave and righteous deeds. But what I saw was a band of craven thugs. You defile the title of knight!
Green fool. All hands! Seize these four! Kill the men if you must! Such valor! You're quite the little heroes! And here I so hope to resolve this peacefully, and let the good king go!
Heinkel! This is your answer? And still you'd call yourself a knight? As daughter to a true knight, I know their pride is staked upon fair and honorable combat. Release your hostage! Then stand and face us! No more running, coward!
Ha! You invoke your father after betraying him?
He's headed for the airship.
That makes no sense. Why should he flee? His aim is the Vestal, not the king.
He's baiting us?
Still, we have to give chase. We'll lose him and the ship. Well, I'm game to brave a trap.
I'm following you.
Agnes, let's go!
Right.
Ah, good. You came. You're a bold lot, if not a smart one. This ship is a prison you entered willingly. Nowhere to run now, save down. Quickly! Really, I must thank you for taking the bait so eagerly. It's earned you a lavish cruise through the clouds, Vestal. And for your friends, a career as ballast.
You're a prisoner here, same as us. No more tricks, Heinkel!
A knight without chivalry is a common bully. I'll see you stripped of that title here and now.
You wouldn't test your elders, girl. I thought to bring you home in chains, but no. All but the Vestal will end here as dew upon my blade. You'll die with the rest, traitor!
Let's start the show!
What? The airship! Where... Idea? Huh? Me? I can't... What? Only Heinkel and the other officer...
ask you something.
What? Who?
The Echelon, galleon-class airship, am I correct?
Yes, but how?
Indeed it is.
But you have no memory. When would you have...
Ah, so this goes here, that gets turned like so, then we just...
Wait, is he? We're steadying out!
Of course we are. I'm a crack pilot, apparently. Now find something to hold on to!
The kingdom of Kaldisla owes you all a vast debt. I thank you from my heart of hearts. You, more than anyone, 'tis. A nightmare was visited upon you and your home, and still you rose up to defend ours. I'm certain your feats have earned Owen a peaceful rest. If you are willing, I would gladly see you take up his sword. Will you continue to keep this land safe, son?
You honor me, Your Highness, but I cannot accept. I've promised Agnes that I'll join her on her journey.
Kaldisla shall be poorer for losing you. Know that you will ever have a home here. The Eternian airship is yours to use as you will. Take it with my blessing. There's not a man in the kingdom able to pilot it anyway. I leave the matter of that horrible chasm to you. I have faith you'll see it unmade. May the crystals keep you in your journey.
Seems I've found a reason to come along. Now, my ladies, all you need do is simply speak the word, and I shall whisk you off to the very ends of existence.
And you're really sure that wasn't just a fluke before?
Rest assured, my dear, I never fail to properly escort a lady.
Agnes, will you tell us why they were chasing you?
The Sky Knights are a branch of the Eternian forces. The Duchy of Eternia has put forth an agenda of anti-crystalism.
Anti-crystalism?
A new way of thinking, based upon the idea of a society no longer dependent upon the crystals. It brands the Crystal Orthodoxy as a heretic faith, and the Vestals its minions. It was the philosophy I was raised upon. When the chasm appeared, every one of the Eternian forces was given the order to capture the Vestals. They said the Vestals and the crystals they tend were the sinkhole's cause.
That's not possible! Agnes has been fighting this—
I know. You've nothing to apologize.
All of this paints the duchy in a suspicious light, don't you think? Perhaps...
I cannot imagine we've seen the last of them. If any—
I'm staying with you.
I'm in as well. I need to see for myself whether my—
And playing escort.
If none of you will listen to—
This is so exciting, Agnes!
Yes, to Anshine, the land of—
Anshine. The land?
Like an oasis in a vast desert beyond the sea. We've—
We've arrived in Anshine.
still no wind.
Are these desert places normally supposed to be windy?
When they're the site of the wind crystal they are, this stillness shouldn't be possible.
The wind carried all manner of blessings to this land in days past. It was the kingdom's lifeblood.
I see. All the more reason to hurry then. Which way to the temple?
From here, we need only head... we ought to make for... which way is it?
Ignore anything she says. Anya's raises getting lost to an art form.
I'm impressed you made it to Kaldisla.
Just a moment. My journal details much of Ansheim's topography. A clockwork metropolis, nestled in Harina's sandy bosom. Here, time, above all, is sacred. A massive timepiece crowns the kingdom, fueled as all of Ansheim by the ceaseless currents originating from the Temple of Wind to the south.
Quite thorough, isn't it? Sounds as if you've been here before. Perhaps that book of yours is a travel diary?
I do seem possessed of a certain wanderlust. The normal sort as well. Ooh, perhaps I'll find a train of ex-lovers here among the sands.
Let's be off. We make south.
All present, Lord Marshal. Save the usual tune, at least.
No matter. Let's begin.
I trust word has reached you from Kaldisla. The Knights of the Eternian Sky have fallen to the Vestal.
I'd not thought the girl so bloodthirsty as all that.
It appears she surrounded herself with capable guards. What's more, it pains me to say it, but Idia's whereabouts have been lost amid the chaos.
That is no concern of yours. Do not confuse personal matters with your assigned task, Alternus.
My apologies, Lord Marshal.
Not only did the Sky Knights fail, they've given the Vestal wings. Why they didn't simply kill the child, I'll never know.
Keenly insightful as ever, Victoria. Yet I fear we've need of the Vestal alive.
Have we, Victor? Bah! If she fled by air, it's a simple matter to track her. She...
And to the Temple of Wind. Anshine does face upon the floor.
Of course. Most of the world's seas have gone putrid, but the inner sea remains navigable. That would offer the airship a berth. But what does she aim to do there? Why return?
Anshine is the province of the Cammer and Profiteur merchantry. What say you?
We haven't the leisure of chasing the Vestal across the... We need her in custody, now.
We've no errand here, nor the time to wait.
Apprehensive Vestal by any means necessary. Seems the Council of Six is growing desperate.
Those were their words. I've relayed them to you. My contract states I'm to receive payment for my troubles from you.
Then your contract is mistaken. I've heard nothing of the sort. Bah, fine. You'll have your fee. But I am taking the small discount. Only fair as a regular customer, eh?
If you must...
Still, this Vestal is quite the little monster, no? To have this Sky Knight so undone. If the margin is high enough, I would tackle a behemoth bare-handed. But until I see if business is...
Silence, one and all! Your king, Camar the Eighth, speaks!
My people, I thank you for your tireless efforts. As you are well aware, our glorious nation's production has suffered a harsh fall since the wind's cessation brought the Grand Mill to a halt. Without nature's former bounty, our turbines went completely still. They sit as silent as the desert night. In the wake of this crisis, you rose up and took matters literally in hand, operating the turbines manually. I, your king, lack words to thank you for your hard work. However, I am much aggrieved to say that energy production is less than 1/5 its former total. At this rate, our proud kingdom, renowned for its unparalleled industry, is doomed to ineluctable decline. I find myself without recourse but to revisit my prior fiat regarding the schedule of all able-bodied citizens. Henceforth, labor shall commence at 0900 hours and will extend beyond the current 1659 until 2059, effective immediately.
What? We're flesh and blood! We need rest!
In so doing, turbine output is expected to rise to 30% of its former value before the wind ceased output of...
Your Majesty! Your Majesty!
What? Be calm, but I ask that you... The Crystal Orthodoxy and the Vestals... And what has the Great Vestal done since the air went... She abandoned you, fled the country to save herself alone. And though it pains me deep, what resolution can be brought about to this terrible crisis? What result of years of worship? But once more I say it. It is by our own hands.
There. Just now that...
Seems that little speech was for your...
It's slander is what it is. That...
Agnes.
Agnes oblige!
Ah, I see you've returned, Vestal. Why then did you not come to me for an audience immediately? I was dreadfully worried, you know. I'd begun to think you'd fallen victim to some terrible accident. So, what of the Caldislan Chasm?
I fear it was worse even than your Majesty had imagined.
So tell me, was it worse?
The wind remained...
And the Grand Mill becalmed. I'm pleased to see the turbines that form the heart of this kingdom, the greatest symbol, the hands of our citizens, compulsory labor service, and even that will not last. We need that mill turning again soon, not but... And whose job is it to see that the wind blows? I can think of no other value you provide. Anyway, will you now end the suffering your Or is that... Perhaps you would sooner run again?
If that is all His Majesty wished to... I haven't the time to waste here.
What? I'll not be spoken to like this! Just whose fault do you think this mess is, girl?
That could have gone better.
Mad? I felt no anger. Only fear. The king frightened.
His tone was far from pleasant.
The people who had come to hear him speak frighten me the same. They see me only as the Vestal, not a human. Just thinking on it,
That explains the tense look you...
Personally, I felt amazing after that little conversation. Did you see?
I tuned him out about halfway through his speech myself. I never did.
in any case, we'd best hurry to the...
Ah, good day! Erutis Profiteer, chairman of the Camel and Profiteer Merchantry. How kind of you to pay me this visit. We are the only purveyor of water licensed by the king himself. And with no effort is spared in providing the cleanest, freshest water possible. The results are clear. Water humor, yes? Ah, but I have lost the time again. I have appointments waiting, my friends. Let us speak again soon. Guard! Our honored guests are leaving. See they are seen out. Have a refreshing day.
You. This well is property of the Cameron Profiteer Merchantry. Unauthorized...
Ah! Withdrawals?
No! There are peasants going thirsty. If you want a free drink so badly, go join the other rabble at the Oasis.
What's wrong?
Thieves! I've been robbed!
What?
They took my water, my pack. That man from the merchantry didn't say anything about this. How am I supposed to survive?
Try to stay calm. Do you...
Let's see. 2.
We'll take care of this, sir.
Hey! Just what are you doing? Letting a good mark go? Our good mark, mind!
We couldn't stand to watch you cowards just do as you pleased.
You have to stop this. Drop everything you've stolen and leave this place at once!
What's this then? Who are they? I've got no word of this lot. Leave it out, it's too hot for this. Change of plans, boys. We're...
Wait! Leave...
Not familiar with how thieving works, then? I'm cross enough already. And to heck with this thirst. The needles in my throat are driving me mad! I need a drink. This anger won't leave me till this thirst has.
Hey!
Stop this! I feel the same, but there are too many...
What's this now? The ones from the Oasis, is it? You're the rat sneaking about the place?
Why do you persist in these awful deeds? You must return the articles you stole!
One of you muzzle this dog's yapping, would you? Be a friend. And what? Don't tell me you came all this way just to vomit a few platitudes out on my floor. This place is nothing but sand and hypocrites. Drives a man mad. And this thirst, these daggers in my throat, all the water in the desert can't dull their edge.
The people you robbed at the Oasis were thirsty too. They risked their lives to get at that water, and you...
Spare me the lecture. You come to convert me? Set me on the straight and narrow? Teach me to follow the rules, be a good little sheep, live an honest life? Out here, honest lives end quick. The desert's a beast, and it's always hungry. The city's no different. There are only two kinds of folk in this world, make no mistake. The takers and the taken from. My worthless parents were easy marks, textbook victims, and still, they grit their teeth and tried hard as they could to get through each day. Till the day came they couldn't feed a family of 3, so they cut loose their kid and disappeared.
They just left you?
The city just took and took till they had nothing left. Their own brat became a burden, so they dumped him like a bag of sand. Daft, eh? Absolutely stupid. If surviving means pinching from other folk, I'll happily join the takers.
Are you sure they left because you were a burden to them? Maybe they swallowed their tears and left you in the city in hopes that you, at least, could find happiness there.
Aye, or maybe they left me because they didn't have the guts to kill me themselves. You don't know a stinking thing about them.
You're right. I don't know their reasons. But they do. If they're still alive, you can go and ask them. You can track them down and make them explain themselves. Make them answer for their choices. You can yell and scream and fight as long as you like, as long as it takes. You can work on forgiving them. But you haven't done any of that. You've stayed here sulking and festering all your life. That's far dafter to me!
My throat! This accursed thirst is worse than ever! You... This is your fault! You smug, delusional, self-righteous little lambs make me sick! I'll take everything. Everything from you! Oi, Chief! Kent! Get your horns in here!
I assume your calling me means this conversation is over.
Aye, that's enough words. I'm choking on this lot's hypocrisy. I want them stripped to the bone!
I care nothing for your reasons, and still less for your ideals. My assistance hinges only on the weight of your coin purse.
She's heavy enough. You'll have your pay.
Then we've a contract, and you will have your money's worth.
I'm bored of you!
What? Chief, I don't understand.
Your odds are poor, and I don't take poor clients.
Go then! They all abandoned me in the end.
It's all or nothing!
I'm bored of you!
taken away. So thirsty.
Will you look at all this?
You'll want to have a look at this first. Those thieves were under the employ of the Cammer and Profiteur merchantry.
And the people suffering? Did it mean nothing to them so long as they reaped a profit? Despicable!
Seems I've found another entry for my black as pitch list. This is unforgivable. We have to stop them! The people will continue to suffer as long as these degenerates hold the kingdom's water ransom. I say we storm the place and set this matter straight right now!
remunerations for the lost caravan? It was stolen, along with my supplies and my camels.
And this is not my responsibility, eh? You failed to protect your investments. You! We had a contract, my friend. The provisions for loss and damages were clearly written in the fine print.
Even so, I can't be made to pay for the damages when I've just had all my possessions stolen. I'll be out on the streets.
This is not my concern. You will pay. Or, if you prefer, I can be asking your wife for this money. Your daughter? Hmm?
Wait, please! Leave my family out of this!
That's enough!
Why are you here? Eavesdropping, are you?
Sir, you don't owe this rotten band of fraudulent crooks a single peeg. You are free to be on your way.
I feel this joke is not funny. I have business with this gentleman. We have no time for baseless accusations.
Then what of accusations with concrete proof?
Oh? And just what is that, eh?
A little souvenir snatched from the lair of the thieves prowling the oasis of late. It bears your signature, Chairman, as well as your orders to attack any citizens approaching the oasis.
What? Then when they... And you were planning to rob me now a second time!
Ah, this day. No luck at all. I suppose this is a result of trusting that useless urchin to perform a simple task.
Then you don't deny it? Release the city's wells to the public then, immediately!
I beg your pardon? Just who are you to be issuing the orders, girl? As I told you before, this is a business. If you are too poor, this is your problem. Stupid enough to be tricked, your problem. Don't like it? Go earn some money, eh?
Money, money, money. These are human lives. Ugh, this is useless. I'm shutting you down right now.
We will be seeing about that. Sigma Kint, I have work for you.
Paying work, I assume?
You! From the Thieves' Den! You'd help this crook?
Provided his pockets are heavier than yours, yes. I care nothing past that. Irutus Profiteur, Merchant of Death. Do we have an agreement?
But of course! And I'm feeling generous today. Kill them all, and I'll earn a bonus!
Contract established. You'll have your money's worth.
Take this!
Our agreement ends here. This is what your money buys.
What? I've paid you a small fortune!
Any further, and I'll be placing my life on the line. That bears a surcharge of 51.2 billion Pig.
That's not a surcharge! It's a national budget! You're mad!
Then this is farewell. Best of luck.
This is fraud! I'll see you reported for this! Money! All my money!
I'm still just livid! I never knew people this unbelievably foul even existed!
I'm just glad we managed to root out the ones causing Enchime's people such suffering.
And just look at these papers! It's proof of one crime after the next.
I can only pray this will make life here a bit less difficult.
At the risk of repeating myself, you'll want to have a look at this. No signature this time. A memo of profiteers, perhaps?
Whatever it is, it stinks. The
It bears checking. Let's have...
Ah, good day! I believe this is our first meeting, yes? Erutis Propheteur, chairman of the Camel and Propheteur. How kind! We are the only. No effort is spared in providing the cleanest, freshest water possible. Ah, but I have lost the time again.
Withdrawals? There are people.
What's this now?
Will you look at all this? And
What? Remove.
Murderer!
No signature.
Whatever it is,
It bears checking.
do you feel that?
Monsters. Monsters roaming here, and quite a few.
Inside the temple? How? What happened to this place, Agnes?
The crystal of wind was swallowed up in darkness.
Darkness.
Yes, at the chasm in Kaldisla. It opened at the same time the crystal lost its light. And the dark that consumed it continues to breed more darkness still. I expect that font of shadows is to blame for drawing these creatures here.
Not good.
Yet we've no choice. Keep vigilant as we proceed. A moment's distraction could prove fatal.
What's all this on the floor?
The crystallist scriptures.
Oh, what sort?
Dauntless seeker, offer your prayers unto the crystals, so too their resplendent light shall cleave a path through darkest night, and banish fear from ever. The scriptures have been passed down through more than 2 millennia, since the founding of the Orthodoxy. The excerpt I gave is among their most important passages.
I've heard it! From one of the old shepherds, when I was young.
It's that famous then? I've never read them, nor heard them quoted.
It looks as if someone tried to carry them away from here.
The acolytes. They were women of exceptional faith. I expect they came here desperate to protect these writings.
This stain upon the floor, I'm afraid it's blood.
This is terrible.
It's like a storm swept through in the middle of supper. What are these scraps of cloth?
Habits.
Huh?
They belong to the acolytes who lived here. They were tasked with looking after me.
Where have they...
just awful. It's in complete chaos.
Yet swallowed up in silence.
The women here made themselves a human,
And now,
yet I haven't the leisure to send them on, or to. They sacrificed I'll not betray, no matter what.
surely...
I pray for them, that they. The crystal altar is.
It's enormous!
Even hearing the stories, I'd never expect it.
No! Its light is dimmer still than when I left. I've watched over the crystal all my life, but this... I've never seen this.
We need to release it from the darkness. Agnes, you know what to do, don't you?
The Mother Vestal, my predecessor, showed me as a child. A rite to cleanse the crystal of and to sharpen my focus to a single point and align my breathing to the thrum of the crystal. Every Vestal to come before me has poured her prayers into the crystal.
You do your office.
The Vestal Guard.
Right. Without that to serve as a...
The Mother Vestals was stored in...
Lead the way.
That's the garb you need?
Yes, this is it.
Oh, look at it. It's in tatters.
It may not serve its function in this state.
What now, then?
Why not give it a try as is, even without...
Stop talking, Ringabell. A set of holy vestments used in some miraculous ritual?
No, he's... We must speak with the old sage of the... He has seen to the creation of the Vestal's garbs and other ceremonial tools. I met him only once, as it's more than a decade has passed. I cannot...
But if he can make us a new set of vestments... I've never heard of these woods.
I recall the forest being uncommonly dense.
If it's large enough to float a ship,
Ignore him. Can we be certain this lake hasn't rotted through like the oceans? That's...
Well, what does Ringabell's journal...
Let's have a look. The hidden heart of an ancient wood.
Given the book's owner, I have
Women or no? That's our next...
Indeed, but since we're going, let's hope...
to this.
We'll not make it through these woods without... This feels familiar. It's been ages, but this is it. We were here. The Mother Vestal, I, and Olivia.
Was that strange, distant groaning here then, too? Or am I the only one who's thoroughly unsettled right now?
You're not alone. The lack of women here is positively chilling.
Though it seems someone lives here.
Hello? Is anyone there?
I thought I heard something. This place draws few visitors, I fear, and me fewer still. So, to whom do I owe this pleasure?
I am Agnes Oblige, sir. Vestal of Wind.
Little Agnes, is it? Oh, you have grown, child. You were scarce more than a little sprout when your predecessor brought you here. Now look at you. A fine woman you've become. Fine and plump and pleasantly jiggly.
Ugh, lovely. It's a geriatric ring-a-bell.
Then you are indeed the sage I seek. I fear I do not remember your name, sir.
Oh, we are a lot alike in that, my dear. Not many people around these parts to call me by it. Sage will do just fine by at her heels you. Thage, you'd call. A more...
Well, I am...
Feels rather good to hear a pretty young thing like you was looking for... Now, you called yourself...
Yes, sir. Her tenure as Vestal ended 5 years ago. Her life, a year later.
I see. A sad loss for all of us. She was fair but firm. Very firm. She had taut curves fit to drive a man mad.
We shall be needing an in-depth account, good sage. Also, a briefing on any wild women of the woods.
Stop talking. Just stop.
You've quite the following, my dear. I had thought the Vestals forswore all contact with the out...
They are assisting me in my task.
Oh, assistance, eh? I see. Oh, and such colorful characters they are. I've kept you out here long enough. Come inside. I see. Well, that's quite the story. You've been brave to come this far, Agnes.
I'd not have managed on my own. I owe Tiz a great debt.
Well, perhaps it is we've come to the harrowing.
The harrowing?
The swelling dark is a harbinger, lad, as is the fall of the temples, the dulling crystals, the great chasm.
It is the Vestal's calling to see that darkness purged. I must awaken the 4 crystals.
Awaken them?
Absolutely astonishing!
Huh? What?
I took the liberty of stealing a peek at the ladies' fashions you've assembled in the next room, good sir. Each is a beauty fit to outshine the next. They're a...
I'm impressed.
I would gladly talk the night away.
They're a matched pair?
Ring a bell, please. We're in the middle of an...
As am I, my friend. This is art, romance. You'll come to understand. And as I recall, we didn't come here to talk. We came to While you were chatting, I searched. My efforts...
So...
I have. The garb housed in the temple.
Those garbs are woven from...
And is this thread some...
I fear the Vestal to wear the garb. The last Vestal of Wind did so. Even had I the thread used to craft the last Vestal's garb, I could not fashion...
I understand.
Of course, my child. Oh, yes, if you girls would...
Unacceptable!
Likewise.
Then let the two of us pass the night.
Good morning. Slept well, I trust? A deal, was it? How about making a nip of breakfast now for an old man, eh?
What? Why should I cook for you?
Because a young beauty's home-cooked meal is far more appetizing than anything I might make myself, of course. Given her upbringing, I've grave doubts the Vestal...
Food can wait, Sage. Now the
Agnes, jealous are you?
The location of the rainbow thread, if you please.
You're no fun at all. Very well, then. I prepare... You'll find the rainbow thread very deep in...
This place holds nothing.
Ugh, what a dank. Are we certain we'll find this?
I wouldn't put it past that sage to be pulling our leg. A slippery old fox, that one.
Said the slippery young fox.
The sage has aided Vestals for generations. Let us trust in him for now.
Then we've no reason to stand around debating. Let's press on. There! Is that the rainbow thread?
Oh, it's lovely! I'm shocked we actually found it here. Now, let's collect it and be quit of this place.
Wait!
A monster?
This decides it!
No holding back!
It's all or nothing! Well, that was a surprise.
No one said anything about a monster! Did the old man know about this? If he knew and didn't tell us, he's awful! That would be lying! How could he put the Vestal in danger? Without her, who would perform the rites?
Be calm, Mary. Perhaps this was a trial of sorts. A test of my resolve and skill as Vestal. Regardless, we found what we came for. Let's return with the thread.
Ah, back in one piece, are you? Very impressive.
Then you did know! A word of warning might have helped you, old lech.
It's been so long since I set about crafting Vestal garb. I'd completely forgotten. I believe you are in a hurry? I'll begin straight away. All the haste in the world won't see it done before tomorrow. Make yourselves at home till then,
Agnes?
What's the matter? Trouble sleeping?
Sir, do you remember this pendant? I've treasured it like a good luck charm since I was a child. Ever since the day you gave it to me.
That brings me back. I remember it well, child. I'm pleased you've held on to it all this while.
It gives me strength. In dark times I would pray to it, talk to it, and the stone would lend me courage.
Keep it close and keep it safe. Someday it may serve you better still.
And the other girl? The one who was with me when last I was here. Do you remember her?
Oh, little Olivia.
Yes, she serves now as the Vestal of Water. Sir, Have you heard anything of her? Is she safe? The oceans of the world began to fester upon the very same day that the darkness took the wind crystal. It's the crystal of water that sustains the seas. I fear the same fate has struck the Temple of Water, or worse. I need to know if Olivia is safe, but I haven't the means or the time to seek her out.
I'm afraid I know no more than you. All I can say is that she's not come to this place.
I see.
Tell me, child, would you care to share what else is on your mind?
I'm uncertain. Until a few days ago, I lived a hermit's existence, sequestered in the temple, surrounded by acolytes. I knew nothing of the world outside, know nothing of it still. How can I be sure in the face of that ignorance? How can I know that the path I walk is the right one?
Recent years have seen the people's hearts and minds turn from the crystal orthodoxy. Its practices are all but forgotten. Yet even still, they regard the crystals and the Vestals who tend them with an innate reverence. Carry out your duty and keep faith, my child. Therein lies the path the Vestals show to all humanity.
But I'm still so weak. Compared to the Mother Vestal, I lack in everything. I could not stop the dark from swallowing up the crystal. I cost those women their lives. And all the world's people, kings and commoners alike, their eyes bore into me, whether in expectation or disappointment. The weight is crushing. My shoulders are not broad enough to bear the weight of it. The hopes and fears of an army of strangers I've never so much as seen before. They frighten me. I am unfit to show them the way forward. I barely trust my legs to carry myself alone.
But they have. Despite the blame and fear, you fought this far for the world and its people. Your fight is a noble one, just and right, and beyond any reproach. But now the time has come to set others upon that path, guide them to follow in your steps. Just as the Vestals have ever drawn upon the crystal's light to illuminate the way forward for all mankind, so must you. Words are powerful things, my child. The Vestal's words doubly so. They are a force capable of driving man to action, of sustaining him in times of need. You've walked your path for humanity's sake. Your love of this world has been your fuel. Now let your words be theirs. Share your path with them. They'll decide for themselves whether to follow or not. The world will choose as it may. But if you open your heart and point the way, you'll ignite a spark of hope within the hearts of countless men and women.
Hope? You sound like Tis.
Oh, already begun lighting those sparks, have you? You'll reach them, child. Speak, and your words will find a home.
Then I had best choose them wisely.
marvelous!
I knew it. You're every bit the wonder I imagined.
It really suits you, Agnes.
Whether it suits me or not is of little importance. These vestments are a tool, and their purpose strictly ritual. But thank you.
Phew. A night's work feels like 7 at my age.
I thank you for your sacrifice, Sage. Your efforts will see the winds return.
Oh? If you really cared to thank me, you'd plant a kiss on my cheek.
Oh, you're shameless!
Is that another tradition surrounding the creation of the Vestal Garb?
No! It's the sad fantasy of a lecherous little toad!
What? Unacceptable!
I do love a girl with a firm touch. Come back anytime you've need of me. I'll do all I'm able.
Thank you, Sage.
Now, back to the temple.